Hello everybody and welcome back to Shadowrun Dragonfall. It has been a long time since the last time I played this. Once again, it won't really be any different for any of you guys, but you emerge from the foulness of the sewers only to be met with the equally dark stench of cordite and death. Although you've saved the Kias, it's far from unharmed. Residents wander the streets dazed, holding their wounds, tending to others, observing the damage. The look in their eyes tells the story. Their illusion of safety has been shattered. You enter Paul Amsel's trade emporium, already knowing what you'll find there. The knowledge doesn't make the discovery any easier. So yeah, it's actually been like probably a week and a half or so since the last time I played this. If that gives you all any indication of how far in advance I plan most of this stuff. Yeah, I record way ahead of time because there are a lot of times where I don't have the enough free time to get away and 8 karma, cool. Once again, the team gathers around Paul Amsel, but tonight he has no more missions to offer and no advice to give. His body lies motionless on the hardwood, cooling in the night air. The ruin of his face has been hidden under a burlap tarp. For several minutes, nobody speaks. Finally, Dietrich steps forward. I think we should say something about Paul. There's another moment of silence, then Iger speaks up. I'll go. Iger brings herself to attention, stares straight ahead. Paul Amsel was an important member of this team, and he supported us well. He said what he was going to do, and he did it. That's rare. That's worthy of respect. She looks down at the body. There's a long pause before she speaks again. Thank you, Paul Amsel, for everything. Another pause. Her voice softens. I was out of position when they came for you. I couldn't save you. I'm sorry. The others shift uncomfortably, not knowing what to say. Glory breaks the awkward moment, her voice a frosty monotone. I appreciate what Amsel did for us. It's another loss, one that this team can't afford. Glory's eyes sweep across the group, then land on Amsel's body. Her expression is impossible to read. After a moment, she turns her head to look at you. Paul was a good one. Paul knew the risks probably better than most. No one's gonna look out for us, but Paul was a good one and will be missed. Dietrich nods in agreement and crosses himself. Yeah, he was. Bye, Paul. Gott sie mit dir. Again, alright. Gingerly, Blitz steps forward. His hair is mussed and there's a fresh bullet hole in his jacket. He smells like smoke and blood and stale sweat, and his hands tremble as he takes them out of his pockets. Well, I didn't know Paul as well as the rest of you, but he seemed like a good guy. He shuffles his feet. I didn't want to see this happen at any rate. You okay, Blitz? Looks like you and Malit saw some action back there. Yeah. His eyes remain fixed on Amsel's body. I'll live. As if in turn, Dante lowers his head sadly, lets out a heavy sigh, and closes his eyes. We'll miss you, Paul. Don't worry about the body. I know what to do. Be respectful, but be quick. After all, it's only a shell. Paul's with Monica now. We're all gonna be with Monica soon if we don't do something. The Firewing came after us once. She'll do it again. She doesn't care if she brings down the entire Kias to get to us. Can't argue with that, boss. All Fireschwinding lives as Cruz Bazaar is at risk. Our friends, our home, everything that Monica and Paul fought to protect. They'll all be destroyed if we don't put an end to it first. Come on, everyone. Let's get a look at that optical chip. I want to see what we're dealing with. That's gruesome. Alright. Oh! Haha! And we have the final level for all these guys. Reloads all of our equipment for 0 AP. Cooldown is 7. Or target 2 enemies in 1 action. Yes please. Oops. Dragon Slayer now harms all foes within 3 tiles of Dietrich for 16 damage. Targets take 5 HP and 1 AP. Or an additional 2 points. Really? Really? Okay, yeah, we're gonna go with the Wrath. And let's see. We can give her the 100% trauma kit. Or, I mean, she doesn't use hand machined armor piercing ammo. She doesn't use ranged combat very much. Well, yeah. It might be better, I don't know. Yeah, we'll give him an upgrade mark just for the giggles. Okay, and we have our own level that we can do. Although, what do we want to level? Like, what are we gonna need, probably, for, the rest of it? Because we really don't have, like, we don't have the karma to level up decking and charisma. I wonder if our decking is high enough to... I think we should level up decking, probably. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. And I wonder if I can pick up the new deck as well. I wonder if there is anywhere to pick it up, rather. Let's check this out. Anyway. Cool blue tones of the workstation's main menu. Yep. One unread message. Oh, okay. Check the inbox. Okay. What am I? No. What? I don't understand. Oh, I don't under. What is it? What? It. Okay, fine. Read the contents. You slot the optical chip into the computer's waiting chip jack. On the screen, Alice's office blossoms into view. Half a second later, a real-time simulation of Alice appears, seated behind her mahogany desk. Something about it reminds you of a figure from a wax museum, lifelike but dead inside. It greets you with a facsimile of Alice's joyless smile. Customer name, Kira. Its voice is hollow, synthetic, an automaton masquerading as the living woman. One who you've never even met in the flesh. Account number 1012579. Greetings, valued customer. I am an offline simulacrum of the Alice persona. I have been included on this chip to answer any questions that you might have about your information purchase. Nifty piece of tech. Not now, Blitz. If you are ready to proceed, I will present Alice's findings. You may interrupt this presentation at any point by saying, Alice, I have a question. Can I respond to you? Simulacrum hitches slightly. You may interrupt this presentation at any point by saying, Alice, I have a question. That answers that. Already. Very well. Commencing presentation. The simulacrum goes rigid for a moment, then seems to relax. When it speaks, it sounds more natural, as though the real Alice is speaking through it. Alright, Kira. I've got good news for you, and I've got bad news. Let's start with the good news. I found Vauclair, and he is alive. Thank God. The trail to your missing doctor was a long and slippery one. The fee that you paid me barely covered my costs for the job. I sent a team into the SOX on a fact-finding mission. I bribed government officials. I greased the palms of wage slaves at megacorps all around Europe. Each step I took eliminated possibilities, drew me a little bit closer. And finally, I found the place where Vauclair is being held. The simulacrum makes a sweeping gesture with its right hand, and an image switchblades onto the screen. A grainy overhead photograph, annotated with map coordinates. You recognize it immediately. This is where you'll find him. He's being held captive at a remote estate called the Harfeld Manor. You've got to be kidding me. He was there the whole time? Chloe says nothing. She just studies the photograph and nods. Okay, nobody tell me. I get it. This is something else that I missed. Alice, I have a question. Simulacrum hitches again, and you can feel the life drain out of it. It looks up at you robotically. You have a question. Alright. Please make your inquiry now. Being held at the estate, what evidence did you turn up to support that? One of my assets at Transist Neuronet provided me with a video feed dated 2053-10-10. The feed was taken by a corporate surveillance drone. Playback commencing. The screen is filled with a grainy black and white video feed. You recognize the Harfeld Manor, photographed from high above. The camera pushes in, and the image sharpens. Through a barred, ground-level window, you can see the shape of a stooped, emaciated figure. His body shows clear signs of neglect. The figure is unmistakable. It's Vauclair, 20 years older and worse for wear. His skin hangs loose on his bones, and his cheeks are hollow. There's a distinctly gray pallor to his skin. That's Vauclair, alright. What's left of him anyway? Doesn't look like they've been feeding him much. He shakes his head. Poor bastard. Another figure steps into frame behind Vauclair, an orc. He turns his head slightly, and skin grafts catch the light. Vauclair slowly turns to face Audryn, and the video feed cuts out. Simulacrum stares at you impassively. Do you have another question? Would you turn up about the manor? Seismological data and thermal imaging confirm the existence of a large hollow chamber underneath the estate. It is my suspicion that Dr. Vauclair is being held somewhere within this substructure. If Irishfing kept Vauclair trapped there for almost 20 years, she's gonna have a reason for it. Takes effort and resources to lock a man away for that amount of time. So what's their end game in all this? Why not just kill him and be done with it? Malice? Revenge? Who knows? Remember, this was the man who shot her down. He sent her crashing into the radioactive wasteland. If somebody did that to me, I'd want to hurt him too, and I'd make it last. I think it goes deeper than that. According to Winter's DVD, Vauclair designed the experimental weapon that shot her down, and that weapon split her body from her essence. Glory glances down at her own steel and chrome arms and suppresses a shudder. If I had to guess, I'd say that she's trying to make him fix whatever he did to her. That's what makes sense to me. There's a moment of silence as the group processes Glory's suggestion. Before anyone can speak, the simulacrum cuts back in. Do you have another question? Bad news. Very well. Feel free to interrupt again with any future inquiries. The simulacrum pauses, and a brief tremor washes over its body. Its eyes flutter, and you can hear the sound of your computer working to process more of the chip's data. Iger turns to address the team. If Vauclair's at Harfeld, we've got problems. The last time we broke into that place, they took Monica out. It was a miracle that any of you got out alive. Yeah, but now we know what's down there. This time, we'll be prepared for it. We can handle this. Iger shakes her head. No, it'll be even worse this time. The first time we went in, we had the element of surprise on our side. But now, they'll be expecting us. They're hunting us, remember? Their security team is going to be waiting for us, Dietrich. That Audryn bastard's going to be waiting for us. And if we make it past them, we're going to have to deal with the dragon in the basement. Well, what else can we do? Cut and run? Last time I checked, that wasn't an option either. Even if it were, I wouldn't take it. I'm not running from this. Not after what they did here tonight. We can't just go charging in there. The simulacrum jerks back to life. It resumes speaking, blissfully unaware of the conversation that's cutting off. And now, Kira, on to the bad news. You now know where Vauclair is, but rescuing him will not be possible. Alice, I have a question. He continues without waiting for a response. Why the hell not? In the course of my investigation, I encountered something terrifying in the Matrix. It was fast, cunning, and very definitely intelligence. I'm convinced that I only escaped because it let me go. It could have killed me in a heartbeat if it wanted to. That thing that I met is protecting the Harfeld Manor, and it's going after anyone who gets too close to what's happening there. Alice, what you see in there? What is going after these people? By way of explanation, I would like you to read the following document. The simulacrum makes another sweeping gesture, and the menu slides back onto the screen. This time, it's filled with text. What you're looking at is an archived forum discussion from the early days of the Shadowrun BBS. Blitz stares at the text on the screen. It isn't kidding, Chief. This discussion's dated back to 2036. That's ancient history in the Deccan community. Probably isn't even correct to call these guys deckers. Hackers would be more appropriate. When you're finished reading it over, say, Alice, I'm done. We can continue. Read the archive discussion. As you lead in to read, Text slowly begins to scroll up from the bottom of the screen. You all hear about the SK team that got crisped a few hours ago? Whole lab's worth of researchers, all burned and broken beyond recognition. Ugly stuff. At this point, who hasn't? Power spike got them right through their data jacks like a bolt of lightning to the brain. 1 in a million accidents, what they're saying. And you believe that? Got a more plausible explanation? Yes, actually, it was a cleanup operation. Color me intrigued. What were they cleaning up? A secret project the Lovefire didn't want anything to do with. You might have heard rumors about it. The project was named Apex. And you've lost me. Apex, clockwork. Seriously, that old line of dreck? I'm telling you, jokers, Apex is real, or at least it was until the Wizworm pulled the plug. Come on, clockwork, we're still decades away from seeing a fully functional AI, you know that. Those Apex stories that have been floating around, they're just some conspiracy nuts wet dream. Fine, keep your heads in the sand, some of us know the truth when we read it. Okay, Clock, I'll hear me you. But riddle me this. If Lawfeard had an armed and operational AI in his claws, why kill it? You remember what happened to most of the Echo Mirage? The crash virus killed them. Fried their brains, but I don't see what that has to do with anything. With the commercial release of the CDT-1000, some security firms are working on counter-intrusion software that could do the same thing. Black ice. You can look it up if you don't believe me. Oh yeah, whoa, scary stuff, man. Well, the goal of the Apex project was even scarier. Ice waits for you to come to it. Apex wouldn't be bound by those restrictions. It could go out hunting, hit its targets when they least expected it. That's why they called it Apex. It was designed to be the apex predator of the digital world. And so, rather than using it to his advantage, Lawfear decided to kill it in the cradle. Wizworm's no fool. Some things are too dangerous to play around with. How would you put that genie back in the bottle if it ever slipped out of your control? Answer, you couldn't. And then it would take over the world. 11111. Okay, this thread has officially gone off the rails. I'm closing it down for the good of mankind. Oh, that banhammer. No! Alice, I'm done. Simulacrum jerks back to life and settles into a neutral pose. There are no official records in the Satyr Group database to support the existence of the Apex project. But the thing that I encountered was Apex. Of that I am certain. Just as I'm certain that Apex was responsible for the deaths of Monica Schaefer, Green Winters, Clockwork, Peregrine, and a score of other Deckers over the last 16 years. Blitz raises his hands. Hold up. Alice, I have a question. I thought they said the Lofear killed Apex. They speculated as much, yes. They were wrong on that count. I do believe that Satyr Group was developing Apex as a tool for Matrix warfare. I'm also convinced that the IT personnel who were killed were the Apex development team, but I don't think that Lawfear was responsible for their deaths. Apex killed them. That'd be my guess, yes. In the turmoil surrounding Lawfear's buyout of Satyr Group, a number of projects went missing. I believe that Apex was appropriated by a member of Firesping's organization at this point. It was then unleashed on its own development team to silence them. Since then, it has provided information control for the Firewing. The Wirefing. Pet AI would explain how Firesping has managed to maintain her conspiracy and avoid detection for the past 2 decades. Yeah, anytime anyone gets close, the AI takes them out and scrubs the record clean. So there's your bad news, Kira. Vauclair is being held at the Harfeld Manor. But knowing that does you no good, because you can't approach the place. I doubt you could open the door without Apex frying you. We did last time. They were trying to protect their secret. Like Audrin said, if we hadn't gone down into the basement, they'd have let us go. Apex didn't react to us until Monica attempted to force the door to the basement. And now that the cat's out of the bag, they have no reason to not pull out the big guns on sight. Teacher grimaces. You're right, I can't go back while Apex is in place. Room falls into silence. Finally, Iger turns to you. What's the play, Kira? Can't turn back now. If Apex is standing between us and Vauclair, then we need to find a way to kill Apex. Fucking A, boss. I'm in. Did you hear that, Alice? Do you have any suggestions? Simulacrum hitches again. Pause stretches. Finally, it comes back to life. The AI has a kill switch, but Alice deemed any additional contact with Apex to be an unjustifiable risk. Attempting to reach the kill switch would be inadvisable. I'm gonna kill the thing I owe Monica that much. You and me both. Alice, tell us about Apex's kill switch. The simulacrum stares at you with dead eyes. Thanks to my close encounter with the AI, I was able to run a trace on it. Through this trace, I discovered the physical address of a backdoor access point for Apex's programming, an old Seder Group research lab, long since abandoned and fallen into disrepair. The facility is now hotly contested gang territory. I have also determined that a kill switch for the AI exists somewhere in the basement of the facility. I will provide you with a physical address. I don't like the smell of this, Chief. It said that Apex let Alice escape. He turns to address the simulacrum on the screen. Alice, why would a Matrix Warfare AI allow you to run a trace on it? It stares straight ahead. Its eyes are dead. That rhymed. I'm afraid that the answer to that question falls outside of the scope of my written parameters. The simulacrum stutters one final time, then looks up at you with an apologetic smile. You've now reached the end of this presentation. I have been encoded with a final message from Alice to Kira. Playback commencing. The simulacrum's eyes go wide, and the life floods back into it. It stares directly at you. Kira, if you didn't listen to me before, listen to me now. Drop this. Stop going after Vauclair, get out of Berlin, and stay out of the Matrix. I'm telling you this for your own good. That's all I have to say. I'm following my own advice. I'm out. Don't try to contact me again. The simulacrum reverts to its idle state, slumping like a puppet with strings cut. Its eyes glaze over and its face goes slack, and the screen cuts to black. So the Dragon has a killer AI in charge of security. I can't say I'm surprised, but then nothing surprises me anymore. We know what killed Monica. We have a name for it. We know how to kill it. That's good enough for me. We know what we have to do. We can either stand around talking about it, or we can go do it. We've lost enough already. The only way to guarantee that is to kill the Firewing, Kira, and we can't do that without Vauclair. The AI is standing between us and what we need. If we want to save our own lives, we're going to have to do something about Apex. I still say that all this is crazy talk, Chief. Taking on an AI isn't just a bad idea, it's suicide. So my vote's to cut and run. Blitz surveys the rest of the group, sees the determination in their faces. Finally, he sighs. But if you're really doing this, you'll want the best decker you can find along for the ride, and I guess that nominates me? Ooh. What about me? I'm a decker. I suppose if you didn't have a decker on your team, though, that would be, yeah. Alice said that the kill switch is located in some old SK facility. Assuming that the site was shut down sometime after the Apex project had disappeared, it could have stood empty for years, maybe decades. She also said the building was in gang territory now. I wonder if it'll be anything like Das Castle House was. God, I hope not. There's only one way to find out. Let's get prepped. This thing isn't going to kill itself. Don't forget, boss, we're taking it on AI here. I'd recommend bringing the best cyber decker you can afford. Something tells me we're going to need all the firepower we can get. Iger begins her weapons check. Improvise, adapt, overcome. Whatever's there, we'll deal with it. First, we find our way into the basement. She peers through the scope of her sniper rifle. Sniper rifle. I do that a lot, actually. And then we kill the AI that killed Monica. Damn right. Team breaks to begin, gearing up. As she slides a shell into her shotgun, Iger catches your eye. You did good out there, defending the cruise bazaar. You've had our backs the entire way. Made good decisions. You weren't out of position. In this job, we work together or die alone. Iger scowls at the floor, nods. True, you're right, again. Anyway, we should get back to it. We've got an AI to take out after all. She pauses for a moment, frowning. Kira, do me a favor and keep your eyes open on this one. We're walking into the unknown here. It makes me a little uneasy. Don't worry, Iger, I've got your back. She smiles, claps you on the shoulder. I know you do. And I've got yours. You've more than earned it. You're making my mascara run. Yeah. She smirks as she slides a shotgun into its sheath on her back. I have that effect on people sometimes. Come on, you two. We've got a job to get ready for. Now can I check my unread message? No. I just have a random... Okay. Hi. So can I talk to all y'all, For the first time since you met her, Gloria's expression seems to brighten. It's subtle, but it's there. You're sure of it. Kira, a pleasure, as always. Need anything from me? If I didn't know any better, I'd think you were warming up to me. She studies your face for a moment before responding. I suppose that you might say that. I don't talk to many people, Kira. It just doesn't seem to be worth the effort. I don't really feel much anymore. Not since... She caresses the chrome of her forearm with a hand made of articulated steel. This. If that's true, why are you still talking to me? I suppose because you've shown an interest, and because you haven't let me push you away. She locks eyes with you, her expression is blank. I don't want to mislead you, Kira. I still don't feel anything. Not warmth, or friendship, or even trust. But I can appreciate the effort you're making. It's something new, and it's worthy of exploring. How are you doing? Golden as always, Kira. No problems here. Have you ever heard of an organization called the Lodge? She shrugs. I've heard of a lot of lodges. Shamanic lodges, nature lodges, hunting lodges. Can you be more specific? A secretive organization with a lot of pull, not big on telling the truth. Kind of like the Illuminati. Any of those sound familiar? She pauses for a moment, considering. Finally, she shakes her head. Nothing's coming to me, sorry. Dietrich might be able to help. He's been in Berlin longer than any of us, and if this lodge does have shamanic connections, he'd be the most likely one to know. I'll ask him, thanks. Are you ready to tell me about the chrome you're sporting? I'm getting there, Kira, but you'll have to give me some time. The answers will come when they do. You said things went bad when you turned 14. She stares at you, her face expressionless. No, I'd rather not. Why not? Because I don't see a reason to. The memories are unpleasant, and dredging them up doesn't serve any real purpose. The last time we talked it had an impact on you. That's reason enough to continue. She pauses a moment to consider your words, a troubled look on her face. I suppose that's true. Feeling discomfort is better than feeling nothing at all. Alright, here's the deal, Kira. I'm going to talk, you listen. When I'm done, I'm done. No complaints and no arguments. We'll see what happens. Deal? Deal. Right. The 1,000-meter stare creeps back into Glory's eyes. A moment later, she's locked away in her own head again, reliving memories that she'd long since filed away. So a few days after my 14th birthday, I began to express magically. You're magically active? that makes it sound like... Go on. There's another long pause, and Glory becomes more animated. Anyway, I turned 14. I awakened. I don't even remember how my parents found out about it anymore. I think that my dad caught me playing with a tiny city spirit that I coaxed out of a pile of garbage, something like that. With everything that happened afterward, those days are kind of a blur. What I do remember is my father's response to the revelation that his little girl was a witch, a hex. He beat the living shit out of me with his fists, and then his belt, and then a claw hammer that he grabbed out of his toolbox. All the while, my mother was screaming and flailing at him. She took a couple of licks with the hammer, too. It's a miracle you survived. I'm just lucky, I guess. So, finally, after what felt like an hour, Dad stopped tuning me up with the hammer. I had broken ribs, a busted arm, I couldn't see out of my left eye, and my entire right side was covered with one giant bruise. I was bleeding all over the place, making a real mess of the carpet. The old bastard spat on me, his bleeding, crying daughter. He spat on me and told me that I was des Teufels Hure, the devil's whore. Then he kicked me out of the house. As I was crawling away, my father told me that if he or any of his Crusader brothers ever saw me again, they'd treat me as the Berlin chapter treats the enemies of God. If you're not familiar with how the Crusaders here in Berlin deal with heretics, it's decidedly less pretty than what my dad and his buddies did to their victims. I got the hint, and the next morning I hitched a ride out of Stuttgart. Why didn't you go to a hospital? Oh, I did, but not in Stuttgart. If I went to the local hospital with the kind of injuries that Dad gave me, there'd be questions, and I couldn't afford to stay in town any longer than I had to. Even if my dad wound up getting arrested for beating me, the rest of the local cruisers would have found me, and I'd have wound up skinned alive and thrown in the Necker. I wound up in Tübingen. I figured it'd be a safe enough place to find medical attention, and maybe to call home. It's not far from Stuttgart, but it has a huge student community that I figured I could blend into, and the university there has a decent magic department. My ride dropped me off at the university hospital, and they patched me up pretty good. Had some questions for me about how I got so beaten up, but I lied and told them that I'd been mugged, which played nicely into my complete lack of cash, credit, and identification. Gloria pauses for a moment and looks down at the floor, then fixes her eyes on you. She's visibly tense. We're gonna fast forward through the next few years. I was a kid on the street. I got by as best as I could, doing whatever I had to. The rest we can live up to your imagination. Good? I'm no stranger to that myself. I don't think that anyone working in the shadows is. She nods. I figured you'd understand. So anyway, I lived on the street for a few years, got used to being hungry all the time, got used to getting rained on, got by. I was painfully aware that I had magical talents, but without any kind of training or guidance, I didn't really know how to use or develop them. Truth be told, they scared me, so I more or less ignored them. So it sort of went like that, until a few days after my 17th birthday. Then I met Marta, and everything changed. Marta was a sweet girl. At first I took her for a street kid, like me. Her clothes were a little ratty, and she seemed comfortable being near me. But she also looked well-fed and happy, and those were two things that I hadn't been in years. We started hanging out, and before I knew what was happening, I was in love. There was a genuine attraction between Marta and me, I think. But I also think that a lot of my affection for her came from the fact that she was the first person in years to give a damn about me. She cared, and I loved her for that. Gloria pauses as she looks flustered, her composure cracked. Keep going. She stares at you for a beat, then nods. A few ragged breaths later, she continues. Marta told me about a place where she'd been hanging out. She invited me to join her there. It was called Feuerstel, the fireplace, and it was a sort of commune for dispossessed youth. It turns out that a lot of the street kids I'd known over the years had moved there. The way that they disappeared, or I'd assumed that they'd been kidnapped or killed, or had gone back to their parents. But there they were. I remember being kind of angry about it. Like, how did everybody get the memo about this but me? Marta calmed me down. She was good at helping me work through my feelings, and I wound up following her to Feuerstel. To a street kid, it was basically paradise. The owner, a guy named Harrow, had set up this little farm just outside Tübingen in the Schönbuch forest. The Schönbuch is officially a nature park, but not many people go there nowadays. Too much fear of paranormal animals, I guess. Anyway, park or not, it was plenty big enough for us to hide in. It was also safe and pretty, and the farm was well stocked with food. Most importantly, Feuerstel gave us a sense of community and stability that we never had on the street, and we loved Harrow for that. He became like a surrogate father to us. Glory pauses again, and you recognize the distinctive flush in her cheeks. She seems to have come out of her reverie once again. That's enough for now. I need to process all of this, and I don't want to continue forward until I've had the chance to do that. I know that this all happened years ago, but I guess it's still pretty raw to me, so I'm going to ask you to give me some space for a while. She turns away and the frost begins to creep back into her voice. We can pick it back up later. Well then. We're going to call it here now, after that big... Well, we're getting to the revelations, at least, of Gloria's backstory. I don't know if we're gonna... I don't know if we have enough game left to finish that, but I guess we'll find out. So next time we're gonna do the rounds with the rest of the party members here, and then we're gonna head off to what might possibly be the last mission of the game. I've been wrong about that more than once in the past, though, so we'll see. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.